What up, random rockers? I don't know if you noticed anything different or not. At least some of you who haven't known me personally and already seen me prior to this. But yeah, new look, going for something different. Figure that might have been part of the problem, other than other things I've kind of mentioned here and there that I'm not going to probably talk about much anymore at this point. So, this is, aside from that, let's get to this review, which is going to be of Mission Impossible Fallout. I believe it's the same director. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments at this point. Kind of off the cuff right now. And this is the 6th installment of the film franchise at this point. And first is fine. Second's whatever. It's kind of whatever. Some ideas, certain things with soundtrack aren't so bad. Despite even Limp Bizkit couldn't screw that part of the whole thing up. Figure that, or at least Fred Durst couldn't. Third film, Abrams fixes the problems there, and ever since then, production-wise, he's been involved in every other film, or at least every other film since 2012, since they brought it back in 2012 with Ghost Protocol, and every other film has kind of tried in a way to build upon itself since. And as far as I'm concerned with this film, some people are kind of like, they preferred the previous two, or at this point, some people are actually saying that this is them topping themselves in terms of action scenes and so on and so forth. And I feel like I'm being sold one thing and I was given another. But not from the trailers, but more from the reviewers themselves going into this movie, because I like it. But I'm not like head over heels for this. I give it credit. I feel like more people are saying more about it as an action film, when really it's just kind of doing what we've gotten from this Mission Impossible since the past couple of films. In fact, it's given the same, I guess for the first time, since every other film usually winds up with a different director. This time I think it's the same. Might have been a different director. If so, then they've been consistent in that regard. Also, Tom Cruise running, all those things. And you do get a lot of nice things in terms of action scenes, and everything kind of flows pretty well together. Some people are, once again, just the same. I'm not even going to bother to spoil this film. I'd rather you just go out and see it and just have a good time and see for yourself. It is actually better off that I do that instead of telling you all these little twists and turns, which honestly is kind of sort of convoluted, to be honest, to a degree. I mean, it is kind of simple when you've been used to seeing these Mission Impossible films for so long, so it just comes off as just basic Mission Impossible. Your basic IMF stuff. And in terms of exposition and all these, and the nice little dialogue, which is pretty good, and these films kind of become like a Fast and Furious thing, except, smarter, and, far better dialogue, and all those kind of things, in terms of like this espionage spy thing, I guess you could say. I mean, even though that seems like it would degrade this film franchise when it shouldn't, I feel like in a way this is kind of what a lot of people wanted more out of Bond stuff, the Bond films, It finds this perfect niche, I guess, that's somewhere. In fact, if anything, the closest to a Fast and Furious kind of thing would be more that of which would have been probably the second film. And with a James Bondy twist to it, It's supposed to kind of be more of a Jason Bourne thing, and you get more of that, obviously. And Tom Cruise still sells himself pretty well as Ethan Hunt. And definitely get a more human, you get a human sense of a human vibe towards him a lot more, especially, I think, given what had happened with one of the stunts in this film. And then on top of that, the whole controversy behind that, and the mustache that literally ruined Justice League, I guess, for most people. for me, it was just, I kind of noticed it the first one, but until like Screen Junkies did their honest trailers, I didn't really notice the mustache all that much in the later scenes with him. It was more just that beginning scene in that film. If you see my review, you understand that. But because I guess they wanted things, knowing Tom Cruise, he probably had some say in, you know, making sure he kept his mustache or something, given how he can be kind of crazy, as we've kind of seen through the Oprah thing and all this other stuff. And it took that one film he wound up with Robert Downey Jr. and all that stuff. Oh, Tropic Thunder, where he was able to kind of channel all of that crazy into that role, and ever since then it wound up working in his favor, and people could look at him better as an actor again, and has been that way ever since. Kind of looking forward to the so-called sequel, I guess he's gonna do. But for what was Edge of Tomorrow, now they're calling it Live Die Repeat for some reason, I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they changed it to that. I thought that was kind of dumb. But whatever. They should have just called it what it was from the anime story thing, instead of whichever one of those two. But anyway, as far as Fallout is concerned, I enjoyed it. Henry Cavill plays a pretty good guy, CIA guy, who's basically on mission with them via under the CIA director, Angela Bassett, played by Angela Bassett, I believe is her name. And she kind of comes off a little bit like the Amanda Waller chick in Suicide Squad, to be honest. So, she was fine. And you definitely still have a team dynamic, ever more focused on that again, ever since Ghost Protocol, which they kind of ignored a little bit of in 2 and 3. Which they did kind of sort of in the first, and then eventually kind of mostly wound it being just Tom Cruise show or whatever thing. Ever since, up until like Ghost Protocol, I guess, where it kind of wound up being the full team again, and have found a proper balance with all that stuff ever since, even going in from Rogue Nation into this film. Even more so, the storyline, for those who haven't seen Rogue Nation, if you've seen the trailers, they basically kind of spoil anything for that has happened in the last film. In terms of one of the main bad guys that was in that film is kind of in this film as well. And he's kind of not much of anything in comparison to, if anything, he's kind of the big end goal thing, I guess, or something to lead to a different end goal, or it's more in fact you just got to watch the film and watch it through line in its entirety to fully get that. And that's where I feel like you need to check this film out in that regard. Overall, the thing that bothers me, I guess, is that I'm underwhelmed with this, because I don't know if I can. I'm kind of lenient towards those that say that they prefer the previous two over this a little bit. In fact, it helps that you've seen Rogue Nation a little, actually, before you've seen this film, because of certain plot elements in this film connectively to that one. In fact, it literally takes place about 2 years after the events of what happened in Rogue Nation. And event also kind of answers some things that happened, certain things that had happened from Mission Impossible 3 that were sort of answered in Ghost Protocol, but kind of gets rewritten into something else in this one. I mean, if you've seen the past 3 films, you'll understand why this one, with a certain particular character, if you've seen the trailers, you already spoiled of that. So, it all kind of seems like everything that's happened in the last 3 films kind of comes together. And I think that's part of the reason why I think some of their stunts were trying to be at their peak at this point. And I'm not entirely, and after what had happened with the stunts, I'm not entirely sure if if they can top themselves anymore by this point. But I did overall enjoy this film. I can say it rocks. I wanted to say masterclass going into this, and I kind of got underwhelmed, and all I can do is just give you that. But it's still solid. I'm not sure I could put it in my top 5. That may be subject to change. It's more likely just a top 10 thing for me. Just really all depends on the other movies, I guess. But overall, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It is solid. It's a blockbuster action film that I think, if you look at it more that way than more the spy, even though it is really more the usual spy films that you come to expect with what Mission Impossible gives you and Tom Cruise usual stunts and stuff. And that's really why the real spectacle of it is more the fact that you get some decent writing and you get really good choreographed and well directed, well directed, great, well choreographed, with great cinematography in terms of the action scenes themselves. And you definitely, most part, you get to, if you pay for what you get full price, and that's what you get here for sure. Definitely. So I'd say, yes, I'm not going to stop you from checking it out, but I'm sure as hell not going to spoil too much of this film. It's better off you just go see it at this point. But Mission Impossible Fallout, what did you guys think of it? Comment below, let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking, and that's it. And I have other things I'd like to talk about. Eventually, it's something actually involving something from another channel that I Patreon requested that I feel I'd rather do a video of instead of typing it in the comment section, a massive paragraph, because I don't feel like it's gonna really, it's a lot of explaining of things. So that's kind of what that is, and yeah, that's about it. Take care, y'all.